Hey, sorry we're a little late. I'm just kind of catching up everything post work. But here we are today. This is the first stream post Godfell, so it's not Godfell themed. This is Lara Croft, and I'm just sharing it on some of the socials now. And it was asked for by Kaylee Harps. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the request. If anyone else has more requests for characters, please put them in the comments. I'll see them. I'll add them to a list, and then I'll see to them every week. Um, Here we go. So I'm going to start inking up this guy now. It was kind of a busy day though, so it's a bit loose in comparison to how I usually have these things. So there's my very rough um, blue pencils and some scribbly ideas I had as I was working on that. I hope you can hear me. Actually, I'll make sure. Yep, that was good. I'll be a little louder. And then I kind of tidied it up to make more sense for me, and the wall became a tree because that's it's a little easier. Um, I usually have a bit more roughed out though. So there's gonna be a bit of figuring this out as we go along. But that's okay. I won't make too much of a habit of that. I just want to put out one more message on one of the socials and then we'll get straight into this. YouTube and Twitch. Yeah, there we go. All done. Business taken care of. Let's get into this. One word of warning. I have gone and slipped the disc just the other day. So if it gets to the point where I get two swords down, I'll have to call it a day. But hopefully it won't come to that. I'm feeling pretty good now. Hey, Kaylee. How you doing? Thanks for getting in touch already. All right, here we go. So I'm going to start top down, and my plan here is to kind of ink the background, something similar to what I did with the piece I did last week. I didn't get to finish that last week. It was a bigger piece, but you can see the finished piece on my YouTube account. It's up there, kind of a quick edit, so you can see what was about an hour's work in about 4 or 6 minutes or something. So thanks, Kaylee, again. Um, be like Kaylee, guys, and go and request some stuff, and I'll see you to it. I'll get it done. So here we go. Let's get into this. Again, as I kind of talked about before, I sometimes don't really do warm up drawings at all. You can, you don't have to, but a lot of the time, I think it's just as good to just warm up on the drawing like you would do in the gym if you're going to go squats, warm up doing some squats, body weight squats or something. There's no need to go and spend your time doing a huge, big drawing just to get into it, which is something I used to fall into. I used to treat my warm ups not like a warm up at all, and like what should have been a like 20-minute thing ends up being like 45 minutes or more sometimes. So I don't do that anymore. It's a waste of time for me. I'm just not quick enough to do any other way, and I get straight into it. If I feel like I'm not really in the headspace for it, what I like to do is kind of an old school animation warm up, and it's just like an attempt to draw perfect circles freehand or straight lines free-handed, and that tends to be all you really need, or all I really need sometimes as well. So bear in mind if you see all these fantastically talented artists doing very detailed warm-ups, it doesn't need to be that way all the time. And I'm just drawing in these shapes. I am going to silhouette them. Um, you can see how I'm kind of changing my mind on some of the pencils I have underneath. I just want to bring the eye straight down into Lara. And because these are going to be a silhouette, I am going to use a paint bucket tool. If you've been on my stream before, you know I don't really use the paint bucket tool unless it's to describe a certain kind of texture on something. Like I think I described it best when I did the Ben Grimm drawing. Um, his spandex is going to be quite sleek, so you can do your paint bucket on that. Um, but then on like the brick wall behind him, oh, I have a gradient on that. We don't want a gradient. We just want a flat. There we go. And sometimes when you just go paint bucket all the time, you kind of miss an opportunity to texture your drawing. So try and keep that in mind when you are when you're maybe jumping into the paint bucket. It's unnecessary all the time. Think about texturing your piece. It matters. It counts. And the program I'm using, if you're not familiar with it and you kind of think that a lot of this looks a bit strange, is Sketchbook Pro. I love it. It's fantastic. Between this and Clip Studio, I really don't go into the likes of Photoshop anymore. I just don't see the need or the point. Um, they're fantastic drawing programs. Um, they're not bad for painting either. And yeah, I really recommend them. I think at this stage on the stream, they should be paying me for commission. I think I've recommended them almost every time I come on. Um, but I feel like it's not a program I see a lot of people use, and I feel like it's a program a lot of people will get use out of. So yeah, check it out. And you're kind of doing silhouettes of like kind of forestry or flora in general. Um, doesn't hurt to have some reference at hand and kind of get used to the little bits that can stick out and kind of really get a good feel of the environment you're setting your characters in. Um, I have drawn these kind of shapes often enough. I have a bit of a mental library. I wouldn't always rely on that. Um, I try to reference quite a lot. Um, but I would recommend not to jump the gun and draw everything straight from your head. Get the reference you need. I guarantee you, your work will show far more value for your efforts. Okay, and I want this kind of silhouette as well, but we're not going to use the bucket tool on that. This is kind of a rocky ruins and an Aztec kind of ruins, so I'm going to use a couple of brushes to help create the texture of the stone. Oops. And if there's any questions, please feel free to shoot them into the comments there. If I see them, I'll answer them. Anything about the technique, what I'm doing, all that kind of stuff, I'm very happy to answer it. And there's no such thing as a stupid question. Save space. Well, thanks a million. That's a bigger number than usual. Delighted to see everyone, and thank you. So I haven't drawn Lara Croft in what must be a decade. So I'm kind of drawn around her because I definitely want to be warmed up by the time I get to her face and her boots and stuff. Like she's a pretty cool character, and I know that Katie prefers the kind of classic Lara, so I drew classic Lara, and I just kind of want to do it justice, so I don't want to jump into that design too early just yet, and I will take advantage of the fact that just seeing a comment there from Katie. Very much a fan of the classic. Um, I was okay with the reboot. I was okay with the reboot, Kaylee. I liked it. It was one of the last few games I got to throw myself into before I became a dad. I thought it was pretty good. So I was okay with it. Um, but I know this is a big preference for you. That's a bigger number than usual. Thanks a million for joining. I'm really happy I did it tonight. I almost didn't because I hurt my back, and now I'm very happy. Thank you. Again, if anyone's on using comments there and you'd like to see me tackle a character you like, please throw it in there. I'll make a list of these things and I'll see to them as the weeks go by. Actually, there's another thing as much as work is kind of going on at the moment, I might be opening up my commission list in the next week and a half. You'll see it I'll announce it on Instagram and Twitter and all those kind of things. So if you're paying attention, you'll catch it. But yeah, not confirmed, but very much possibility. I was really enjoying doing the traditional Godfell sketches with some ink, and I'm going to miss it. So if I can find the time to open up my commission list, I'd love to tackle um, some, some stuff on ink. Such a blast. It was tough work trying to fit all that stuff in with the book coming out. I'm very happy I did it. Um, but it was great to draw something that was for myself and wasn't just work for hire. Doesn't really happen that often. I'm just going to jump around a little bit on this. Hope it's not too distracting. I'm going to go from one piece of the background to the next, I think. Still have Carrying Rufus on. Brilliant. Cheers, Katie. I wonder if I get back to drawing Carrying Rufus or writing Carrying Rufus. I didn't get to finish writing it either. For anyone not familiar with Carrying Rufus, it's a book I did. You can actually read the first issue on the Tapas comic app. It's free up there, and the whole idea was kind of like Turner and Hooch meets Shaun of the Dead. A girl befriends a talking fox, and they make their way through a zombified Ireland together. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I always thought it would be kind of funny having a zombie story set in Gory. There's a place in Wexford called Gory, which is apt for everything zombie, I think. Um, because you can't have enough gore in the zombie films. And yeah, I'd love to get back to it. I'd need someone to get behind it though. Um, it's a bit expensive and a bit time consuming doing these things on your own. And at the moment, I have the odds. With Dave Hendrick, that's kind of in progress as well. So that's taking up quite a lot of my free time. Um, and I'm loving working on that. I think over the next few weeks, if I don't get enough requests of characters, what I'll do is I'll start inking some of the odds live. I'll leave out the characters and just do the background or something, so there's no spoilers. But I'm very keen on sharing that with you. I'm really happy with it. It's some of the best work I've done. Also, when you start a sketch, do you always have like a frame set in mind, or just go mad? Yeah, I get you. And what I actually do first is I'll turn these off, and I start off with this. I just have my thirds and the border, so I'm aware that I'm not going to go past the bleed if I need it, if it's a commission piece. Um, on the Godfell pieces, I was doing some of these digitally. I was penciling digitally, and then I was inking it traditionally. So I'd have this turned off and on, but I'd more or less know where I'm supposed to finish the ink line. But I always start off with this. There's other things in here. But that's just the border. That's like an interior bleed. I think I had to set up initially for a Conco page, so that would keep my dialogue and things in there. And when I needed to find the centers, I have that marker there, but generally just the thirds, and just kind of keeps me honest. So if I'm on these things late at night, at the very least, I can't get the basics wrong, and it helps. I think that helps because the one thing everyone always says, you want to get into comics, you got to make comics. Like it's an easy thing to do, and there's plenty of time to go do it, but it's not. So, do yourself every favor you possibly can, and if you're going to be hammering away late at night working on this kind of stuff, give yourself a chance that the things you might not be paying full attention to, that you have your parameters in mind to keep you hitting the mark you need to do. You don't want poor composition, and you don't want to have gone through your pencils into your inks, and then find out at the very end of all of that, oh my God, my composition is terrible. Get all that stuff right, and and then get into something more finished. So you can see here, I had it very loosely. Usually I have it more penciled. But on my first stream, I did excuse me, I did Levi Ackerman from Attack on Titan. Love that show, and I left a lot of thinking while I was streaming, and I kind of found that it left me talking less, probably making less of an interesting show. I think you'd have to have been really just into drawing if you were watching that to stay tuned all the way. Um, but now since that, I try to really think about uh, the design, the composition, all that kind of stuff before I come on, because I do find the talking and drawing thing a little tricky. Sometimes I don't know if I've done it yet. I haven't watched a full stream. record it back yet because who had time, I guess. But I don't know. I have a feeling that I might have started saying something, got distracted, and then forgot what I was saying, and, and then never revisited. If I do that too again, please hit me up in the comments. Call me on it, and I will, I will finish what I was saying. Because every so often I throw out a few tips, things that I've been using, things that I do, that maybe if you're not doing them all the time yourself, or doing this all the time yourself, you might not be aware of, and it could be a little kind of just a little way to make your life a little easier. Um, I'm not shy about sharing anything. There's nothing I'm going to do here that isn't on the likes of Proco or any of those, like our animation mentor or any of those kind of places where people are learning the details of the art, you know. And a lot of what I talk about is very heavily influenced from the likes of Steven Silver and David Coleman. Have been for years. Nothing has changed. I think they're some of the best at what they do. And they have these fantastic little tricks when a design or something isn't working out. So you can go back and figure out what you're doing wrong. So you can then like find a solution to whatever it is that's bothering you about what you're working on. And if you're not familiar with them, check them out. Those are some of the best guys in the game. There's a few heavy-handed mistakes here, and a lot of it is because I was very busy today. I hadn't figured out the pencils as close as I usually do, and here I am now figuring out on the fly while trying to ink, which, you know, unless you're Chris Samley, I guess you're probably going to make every mistake in the world. I think about Chris a lot on this because I love his work. Me or Chris Samley, there's another guy you can go look up. He's amazing. It's like someone making a sandwich. Cheers. Hope it's a good sandwich. And one other thing I kind of do is I try to use a standard brushes in every program as opposed to buying ones or making ones. Mostly because I used to make them all the time. Brushes I could paint with, brushes I'd use as kind of stamps essentially. And then I'd have to go work in house, and unless I brought the brushes with me, and then it would take an age to install them all, I kind of just end up having to use standard brushes on the program that we're using, and I kind of find that I'd lose a lot of time. I'd be beating myself up trying to do something that is kind of unnecessary, in the long run, really. Unless you're a colorist, maybe, then you like it makes far more sense. Have your standard set of brushes and your standard set of palettes. Um, but I kind of just get used to the standard set. I might change opacities or something on them to be more in line with my way of drawing, and that's about it. So all the brushes I'm using here tonight are the standard in the Sketchbook Pro set of tools. And I'm going to use a couple of them tonight. You might have seen me use a few already. I've done a bunch of these, especially over the last month. I was doing like 3 a week before Godfell hit the shelves. And we'll be going back to one for a while because my immune system was not able for 3 streams a week plus work plus everything else that life has in store. And I I'll talk about how I use them or if I've changed them in any way. The nib brush I'm using at the moment, I have changed. I think Sketchbook Pro sets it defaulted at a 90% opacity. I always put up to 100. Um, I just want those flat black lines without much of a gradient in them, especially for things like this. You know, I'm sure there's a need and a necessity and a use for them at a lower opacity, but it's just not for me. These little things here, they'll make sense in a minute. They're going to be a bullet flying past Lara. Okay. After I draw Lara, I'm going to go back into the trunk and add in some shadows and things. I meant to add some music actually, I forgot, but I think last week the music was a little too loud and people couldn't hear me. So let me know if you prefer to stream without the music on. Maybe it is better. Um, no, it's all new to me. I'm figuring this out with you. One thing I don't want to do tonight is use a moon. Looking over my work, I use moons a lot as focal points to try and highlight something. This time around, I'm going to try and not use a moon. See if I can resist the urge all the way to the end of the drawing. I'm kind of scribbling this because I know I'll get these little bits here, and that's the kind of texturing I kind of want for this. I want it looking a little gritty, but I want it looking dark enough that when I go to do that kind of ink wash for the sky, it'll really still stand out from that. At the start of every month, I usually have a new print in the store. Um, I haven't got around to it yet. It's early in the month, in fairness, but I will. I'll probably have started something by the end of the week, and I will probably post it next week or the week after. Last week or last month, it was a Deadpool, Dazzler, and Wolverine piece. You can see it on my shop on Bennessy.com. And you can also pick up commission orders and stuff there as well. And I'm going to have some traditional pieces added to the store soon as well. I found a few more traditional pieces I still have, excuse me, hanging around the studio here, and I will put them up with the Godfell pieces I drew last month. And these are ruins, so anyone kind of not so new to the stream today knows that I'm a big fan of the ellipse tool and the ruler tool here on Sketchbook, because it's not like a dead digital line that it gives you to draw. Like it's just, it adheres to your line weight. I'll show you instead of talking about it. It's best just to show, right? So I kind of find that for the most part, when you draw on a digital ruler, you get like that kind of line. But this gives me thick, thin, depending on what I want. It feels more natural, and the same for the ellipse tool. You can get your thick, you can get your thin, all that kind of stuff. It's really good. But for something like the ruins here, I'm going to freehand it, make it kind of wobbly, so it looks like, you know, these stairs are falling apart, and um, yeah, you know, just make it look warm. Again, there's other brushes I use to help create these textures. Not just always using the same brush, but for now, at this part of the drawing, I'm just going to stick with the nib, and I kind of work my way up to texturing stuff near the end. Oh, and by the way, I have some other news. There's I've added a new part to the website just end of last week, where I have Bennessy merchandise up on it. So you can pick up t-shirts, hoodies, phone cases, water bottles, that kind of stuff. Or if you want to bring your tea or your coffee with you, there's like a thing for that. And all various colors as well. Getting all up on the Bennessy website, bennessy.com. And yeah, I hope you like it. I'm very fond of a few of them. I'm going to have to pick up a few myself. One set features Tess here, who you can see down there, covered in her old school telephone wire, while hearing from all kinds of new social medias. And another one is another kind of pin-up I drew a while back, and I'll have more up on that again soon as well. That'll be something I kind of tip away on, especially depending on the interest from you guys. If it's something I do a lot more of. But I'm always a fan of a bit of a t-shirt and stuff. And sometimes it's nice to have them and not just prints. There's only so many walls in your house, right? And that's a little too wobbly. I know I kind of already drew it here with a gun, but my default kind of Lara Croft was almost a drawer, two hands out the guns. I feel like everyone's done that. I just kind of wanted to do her maybe more of a Tomb Raider than a gunslinger here. So yes, the gun might be out, but she's kind of running away. And I know I haven't shown it on screen much, but I thought it was kind of funny. I threw in the Indiana Jones Golden Idol. You know, if you know, you know. I guess if you don't, I told you. If anyone out there watching is a colorist, actually, I never thought this before until now. But if you want some of these pieces to practice on in your portfolio, just as long as you give me credit for the inks and stuff, I can arrange maybe something where I put them up on a website, maybe on the Bennessy website somewhere that you can download and use as you need. Um, but let me know in the comments if that's something you want. Otherwise, I won't know, and then I won't do it. I'm just kind of being loose with these because I want it to look energetic, and I also don't want it to twin. Um, I've talked about twinning before. Twinning kind of flattens all your work. It can happen in a lot of areas of it. You have to watch out characters' poses, some of your environments. Um, Try and make sure things are running in different timings and kind of get a better feel for things. These little shapes I'm doing, they're going to make more sense now in a bit. I'm going to draw Lara first. Or will I? Maybe I'll draw. No, I'll draw Lara first. And okay, Lara's next. I'll do a little bit of texturing on that stone here, by the way, first. So this is a speckle brush that I quite like, and it just does little bits like that. And a tip I would give everyone is don't just get the eraser and use a standard eraser. You can pick some of those lovely textured brushes that come with most programs or are in the ones you've bought, and use them as the eraser. And it just kind of creates a bit more of a feel of things and can differentiate one thing from another, you know? Like the line of her leg and her outfit shouldn't feel as gritty as say the stone behind her and the bark of the tree she's jumping over. Okay, here we go. We'll do her, we'll do the shadow, and then we'll do the sky. No moon. This is actually somewhere I would recommend taking her out. Hey, any tips for digital drawing? I used to religiously draw on paper, but recently moved to an iPad. I'm finding it very difficult to grasp. Yeah, I unfortunately you just have to keep going. But I find it difficult on an iPad as well. You can use this app and the Sketchbook Pro app on the iPad. I'd recommend doing so because you sound a bit like me. I was absolutely adamant that I just did not want to draw digitally. I just wanted to stay on paper. Um, but I just didn't find that there was enough work for me to do that. So I had to go and teach myself how to draw digitally, and I really struggled. I found Photoshop just terrible. It just didn't work for me. It was good painting for me, but I couldn't draw on it. And I then found this program after shopping around for a while. I tried a program like Sai. Sai is good too. Maybe Sai might work for you. But I can't recommend Sketchbook enough, especially if it's something that you used to draw on paper more. I kind of find that this program won't give you anything more than what you could have given pen on paper or pencil on paper. There's a little bit of a thing where it's not a click button type thing. It's a push and pull thing to make your brushes bigger and smaller. I like to keep my nib here at 7.2. People have probably heard me talk, or 7.1. People kind of heard me say that already. Um, you'll find what best suits you, but I recommend the program big time. If there's anything kind of bothering you about it or you can't figure out about it, hit me up, ask me. Um, I will try to help as best I can, especially on the streams. If you ask me on the streams every Wednesday, 9 o'clock GMT, I will I'll surely see your message and I will do my best to answer it for you. But you've also just got to do it as well. It could be a little bit of getting used to like because it kind of feels like Sharpie on glass, right? It doesn't feel like paper on pencil. It's kind of missing that teeth that paper has with the pencil. Um, I kind of like that Sharpie on glass feel, so it kind of worked for me. Um, you just have to play around with things until you find what exactly works for you best. But I recommend this program. There's so many options. The brushes are so varied. Um, there's digital brushes here that react like real brushes, like watercolor brushes, that kind of stuff. They'll bleed and they'll mix. Um, if you haven't tried out this program, check out this program. Um, I'm also I'm also thinking about doing a few digital lessons, trying to find the best way to put them out there. Um, Udemy looks like an option, but I'd like to do it a little bit different than some of the other drawing courses I'm seeing. Something a bit more practical, I think, and something that can get people more job ready as opposed to academically trained. Um, I think that'd be a key difference these days, really. But I'll do maybe some small tips and things on my TikTok channel, Bennessy's Tick. I should have thought about that name. And there's one video I did. I forget what character it was I was drawing, but I was talking about how to draw a foot. I find that most people know how to draw upper bodies pretty well, faces kind of well, but then for the most part, people are kind of terrible then when it comes to anything below the hips. And knees don't sink in right. Hips are kind of off, and I know when people are stylizing things and playing with things, that's fine, but um, when it's wrong, and you know it, and everyone knows it, and there's no way to hide it. I, so things like this, how to illustrate. the distribution of weight in a foot, that kind of stuff, and making toes like toes and not sausages and connected to a rectangle, that kind of stuff. Um, I did that, but I've got a few questions about it as to what the technique was. Everyone kind of caught on it was a foot, even though it was a speeded up edit of the live video. So I can do that kind of stuff maybe, show those tricks, and if I do the inking the odds pages and I do those backgrounds like I talked about, um, everyone will get to see a how to do 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective, like this stuff. Oh, really? You bought a print for me as well? Very good. That's cool. Um, Thanks for watching the stream. Thank you. That's cool. 6 years ago. Yeah, I guess I've been doing this kind of stuff for a while. Um, Thanks for checking it out again. That's really cool. Thank you. Can I ask, where did you buy the print? Was it a Comic Con? Was it Wexford? Was it Dublin? Was it Leeds? By the way, anyone here, you saw me thank Kaylee for the request of drawing one of her favorite characters, Lara Croft, tonight. Kelly's a great artist as well. Just check out her work. It's Kaylee Harps. Hang on a minute. Let me show, right? Better to show and not tell. There we go. So that's Kaylee's handle. Go give her a follow on Instagram. She's really good, and she's also really approachable. There you go. It was Wexford. Very good. Well, thanks for following up here. That's really cool. Thank you. It's probably Wex Worlds or something like that. I miss Wex Worlds. It's a bit too even there. Didn't like that. Let's go back again. There we go. There we go. So that knuckle would actually be there. A bit higher there. Again, this is all stuff that if I wasn't so rushed earlier, I would have had absolutely nailed down on the pencils. I can get away with it now because I'm drawing digitally. If I was working traditionally, this would get very messy. Don't know if anyone kind of saw the maggot riders that I was drawing. They're these people in Godfell. It was the first of the live streams I drew on the run up to the release of the trade paperback, and um, like I did not pencil enough detail for myself whatsoever, and about 10 minutes before the stream, having printed off these digital pencils, I had to go back and traditionally pencil in some more just so I knew what I was doing. God, steep learning curve when you start going online to try and do this and talk at the same time. You will forget your place. You will make tangents, cover tangent at the end. I always do a tangent and a line sweep at the end to see if I've made some mistakes. And always on the stream, I will find them, but I'll miss some big ones. And about 3 minutes after the stream, I'll go and spot them immediately, fix them. But it is funny how I spot them like immediately afterwards and not in front of everybody, having just thought about how bad they are and how you should never have them in your work. But I'd leave that as a little tip as well. If you're ever in a position where you can let the art you've just finished settle overnight, maybe, so you can come back to it the following day with a fresh pair of eyes. You'll spot some things that need editing straight away, and whenever you're booking in some work and someone says, "Can you do it in 3 or whatever it is?" You think it'll take 3 days. Tell them it'll take 4. Give yourself that extra time to make sure you then don't have to go back and fix a ton of stuff. That line's a bit heavy. I'm going to take some of that out. Another thing I like about drawing in Sketchbook is the fact that I can rotate the screen like this. It feels like drawing on my animation disc. So it was just another thing that I didn't have to disassociate myself from my usual technique when I was drawing traditionally. I could just continue as I needed. Makes life an awful lot easier. Kind of got that a bit wrong there. We're going to wrap that rucksack strap a bit better. There we go. That was nearly a tangent. We don't like them. Get rid of that. It was going to tangent here. We don't want that. We want it to either go this side or come that side. In this, I have it. What would be better? Let's have a quick look. It might be better to come down there, actually, as opposed to cross there. Of course it would. Again, something I should have figured out in the pencils and not the inks. But here we are, working digitally. We can fix it. So it would come down. I'm just going to rough this out loud so you can kind of see. I'm not just drawing a straight line. I can inform the volume of her body behind this. I'm not just making things flat. So come down past the traps, off the collarbone, around her breast, and then down onto her rib cage. It would come under, around there, and we'll do the same on the other side. Don't fall into the trap like I just did when I was talking. Watch where the collarbone is. All these things help inform some sense of way, action, all that kind of stuff in your pose. Okay, here we go. Adam Hughes vibes, huge compliment. I'll take that. I will take that all day. Thank you very much. I love Adam Hughes. I wish I could use markers like him. I think he actually draws her rucksack straps a bit like this, doesn't he? I think it's him. It's been a while. Actually, I forgot he did any Tomb Raider. I should go back and look at it. His work is so good. It's getting a little bit messy here. I'm going to tie this up now in a second. I'll talk about what I was doing while I was doing this. Okay, let's make that line a bit thinner. Wraps around, strap goes that way. Strap's going to go back that way. Okay. Yes, happy with that. Okay. So I'm just going to put a little bit of detail on the satchel to differentiate it from the strap on her rucksack. Give it a little bit of this, one of those kind of guys, one of those straps. Anyone looking to build their reference library on bags, t-shirts, kind of fashion, that kind of stuff, do yourself a favor and go on to Instagram and follow fashion brands, Louis Vuitton, someone. If there's anyone who does like fashion weeks and things, and you'll get a really big mix of that high-end, crazy looking fashion, the kind of stuff that no one would really wear, but looks incredible on a catwalk, and it really, really, really will add to your design. You'll find stuff in there that will work in sci-fi settings, will work in fantasy settings. Not so much your high street. Like you wouldn't see someone in some of those things walking around Manhattan where Spider-Man would be swinging around or something. But you might find it very useful if you're setting your story in some other kind of timeline or universe. And then you'll also see the high street fashions as well, and that's really important. Familiarize yourself with all of that stuff. It really helps. You don't want to be throwing the same guy in the same kind of hoodie all the time. Yeah, yeah. I just seen Kaylee there uses pics online to reference legs, that kind of stuff. That's a good idea. Um, just wherever you can. There's places like or not places, accounts on Instagram like Life Drawing Barcelona and stuff. And I don't know if Dr. Sketchies has survived COVID, but there are online life drawing classes that will be better than just referencing fashion places for anatomy lessons. Recommend checking them out. I've actually been looking for a life drawing class where I live at the moment. If I can ever find the time to fit that in on top of everything else. But if you get a chance to do life drawing, I mean, can't recommend it enough. It's everything. Even if your stuff is cartoony, you're going to find a lot of help in cartooning from real life, as opposed to looking at your favorite cartoonist and trying to emulate their work in some way. Like I've said it before on this that I'm a huge Humberto Ramos fan, and it went from a phase of inspiration to plagiarism. I was far too like him. I was trying to do so much like he would, purely because when I was working out faces, there was a certain line in a face that I was enjoying, and I found that he was using it too, and he had figured out how to use it the best. So I was looking at all his work, and I had to put his work away for like a year, um, which sucked because I was a big Spidey fan, and he was on Spidey with Dan Slott at the time, so I didn't read Spider Man for a year. Still got the books, and then one Christmas, after a year or so of avoiding it, I was sick. I had time to sit down and read them, and kind of picked up then. But by that stage, I had cartooned from life so much that my work no longer resembled his in any way, and I could kind of look at his work now and not move away from something that is my own style now. Um, Well, okay, if you find a place, if you're doing a life drawing class, let me know. I'd be very interested in picking that up again. I'm well overdue. I am well rusty. I'd love to get back to it. And if you are ever stuck looking for life drawing classes and you can't find enough reference, um, reference yourself. Take pictures of yourself. Lots of folks take pictures of themselves doing poses for comics and stuff. I kind of found when I was working on Godfell, when I started doing it, that my poses were a bit too stiff. And I think it's because coming from animation, where I would be making videos of myself acting out bits of dialogue, um, that I would find a better pose, something I was used to. Not a better pose, just something I was used to. And my posing immediately went from about an 8 to like 10 in Godfell. I think my gestures were far more, just far superior. It's easy to make one thing look like a something else if you're not really paying attention. On the last stream I did, I mentioned Paul Ekman's 7 universal emotions. Um, if you look at his work, he also covers a lot of body language, and there's also books like or People Watching, it's called now. I think it was republished from, or retitled. It used to be Man Watching. I think it's called People Watching now, and it just kind of shows the different subliminal gestures people make when talking to other people, and how they mirror other people if they're feeling comfortable with them. How if one guy is looking for directions and asks where's the nearest whatever, if it's close by, the hand tends to be low, but if it's far away, the hand is up high and pointing really far away. Just to be aware of all these things, they'll make your gestures feel more real, relatable. And if you can do that, you'll keep your audience um kind of in on what you're doing. And really, that's everything. If you give the audience or your reader an opportunity to zone out on what you're doing and come back, but they might not actually come back. You might have lost them forever. So do whatever it is you can to keep them in on the story you're telling, and what you have to say, how you're telling that story. The second you lose them, or if there's some kind of ambiguity in your work, and they get a bit lost, you've kind of failed more than anything. I've seen people who aren't amazing draftsmen, but they're able to keep people involved in the story, and they're the ones that do better, because it's all about story, guys. It really, really is. Do whatever you can to keep people hooked on your story. Thanks a million for all the questions tonight. Like, I'm really enjoying having a back and forth with everybody. For a while, it was kind of quiet on Twitch, and it was all Instagram. But now it's very much a mix. It's great. Thank you. Hey, Jason. Yeah, a fellow sketchbook pro user. Nice to meet you. Again, if I had a bit more time today, I really would have nursed her design a bit. Um, I really only got to tip away a little bit of things that kind of hinted who she is. Like the booth I was looking at was I forgot what kind of character they were. They were I think they were maybe on a Catwoman or something I saw. Um, but then I made like the soles of these boots. So you see the bottom of her boot on the other foot from like a army desert or an army jungle boot, I think. And the more you can kind of do to kind of find out who these people are, you add to your mental reference library. So even if you forget what they look like, you at least have a copy of these things. I have a folder full of model sheets and things I reference to make those model sheets. And it was also something I did on Godfell quite a lot, um, because there was going to be variant covers from other artists I really like, and I didn't want them to be second guessing what kind of thing is this person wearing, how long is the scarf or that they're wearing, that kind of stuff. I needed all these answers there for them in the model sheet. Um, so I kind of tend to research these things quite a lot, thinking by the time I have the model sheet done. In animation, it's different, but in comics, your character design can evolve as the book goes on, and what you think you figured out will change. Like if you look at some of my early Zanzi sketches, her shoulder armor, her leather shoulder armor, doesn't go down quite as far as her arm as it did in the book. I kind of found a better silhouette in her design when I had the shoulder armor reach her forearm. What's my hardware? I'm on a Mac. Been using Macs for some time. I don't think I'll ever go back. Something very wrong would have to happen for me to go back. What are you, Jason? What do you use? It's almost a tangent. I'm not really happy with it. I'm just going to go in and clear it up a little bit. Just needs a little bit of tidying up. Cintiq workstation wallet hurts. Very good. Yeah, Cintiqs are expensive, but they are good. They're really, really good. I'm using a Huion or Huon. I think they're pronounced Huon. I think I'm wrong there. And I'm on the 16-inch premium pro canvas, I think it's called. I might have those words mixed up or something, but all those words are in the name. And I found that is an absolute steal. It's as good as any Wacom I've ever used. Your sensitivity, you name it, it's all there. The only thing that Wacom have over it is if you have a tech issue, their customer service is a little bit better, a little faster. Huion backup, yeah, it's the way to do it. I'm actually going to get a second Huion as a backup. This might be my backup. I might go get a bigger one. You kind of can't have enough real estate on screen, really. The more you have, the better. Kaylee has a 19-inch Huion as well. Very good. Nice. Looking for a good mobile tablet to use out of the house. What's the one you said, Nick? It was the Samsung, Kaylee. It's really good. That's talking about Nick Roach. He is an amazing comic book artist. Hails from the same place as myself and Kaylee. He's a Mexican, and he uses a Samsung, whatever they're called, those tablets. They're really good. A lot of people use them, but he really likes that one. It saves at least one job for me with my companion. Oh, yeah. I've had that happen and didn't have a backup. It's rough. That's not the mark I wanted to make. Here we go. Sometimes you have to get a bit sketchy with it. Don't get too caught up in. Yeah, there we go. Knees are kind of funny, like a bunch of shapes sometimes will do the job when like you're probably beating yourself up trying to make it look so perfectly in tune with all your anatomy books, but sometimes the kind of a couple of little squiggles are the way to go. You got a secondhand Surface Pro, nice. They'll do it. Thanks. I had plenty of opportunities drawn, all that kind of fray on net in Godfell. Yeah. Do you know what I've done, Kaylee? In my talking, I've lost track of what I was drawing. I think the fray should have been up closer on the leg. Yeah, it should have been. That's a big whoops. Thank God we're going digital. I can go and fix that. That'll teach me for talking and drawing at the same time. Can't be done, guys. Typical man can't multitask. Let's be going instead and work our way backwards. Now, it was. See, I didn't finish one of my lines when I was penciling, so I got lost. That'll teach me from being busy today and rushing the pencils, won't it? I say it won't happen again, but it probably will. But at the very least, you can see how cutthroat you need to be. Like the fray was nice, thanks for that. But if it's wrong, it's wrong. Get rid of it. Go again. There is absolutely no point in trying to make something that's wrong try to work. Just get rid of it. Go again. In fact, that should be making that do something more like that. And then underneath this, we'll do the same thing. Brad Cowboy was great help on deciding to get here. Oh, a nice one. They're very good. I took a chance on it. A few friends of mine were kind of just checking them out one Christmas, and there was just an incredible deal on the Canvas 16 one that I have. Like it was such a good deal. Like it was worth like spending the couple hundred or 300 whatever it was on it. And if it was a bad thing, I haven't really lost that much. Um, but like it's been so good, it's going to be hard to get me to go back to Wacom now. Again, not using the paint bucket all the time. Use the nib. I think if you can make your digital technique similar to your traditional technique, you end up with a kind of your usual traditional feel for things. And I think it kind of helps. There's definitely times you can take advantage of the fact that you're working digitally. My like when I'm talking and I get it wrong, I can just undo and go back, that kind of stuff. And trying to host the show here while talking, you can get stuff wrong. Everyone's human, um, and it's fantastic to have that safety net when doing this, because the digital or the traditional drawings that I did on Godfell, um, like if I didn't really have it penciled out, it was tough. Yeah, 'cause, like, if you get it wrong, you have to just like start cutting bits out to get paper to go over it, to go back and ink it again, or start again if it's really bad, that kind of stuff. So you try to avoid all that. Wait a minute, I'm after leaving out an important part on the gun over here, haven't I? Let's turn that down, open this up. Look at that. Just realize it. Again, more talking and drawing. Can't be done. I'm convinced. I can't be the only one who can't do it. There we go. Talk about the advantage of working digitally. I can just go back in and do something like this. If I was working traditionally, that became a problem. There we go. See, if I had the time again to do that, I would have got that right, and I would have referenced a different kind of gun. At the moment, I'm referencing a gun from my mental library. Mental library. I mean the one that's in my head, not the crazy one that comes from the crazy man talking here. But it's it's from a show I worked on actually at the end of last year, Marvel show actually, and one kind of character's specific gun, and trying to remember the angles I had to draw it from. Again, if I had the time, I wouldn't have been drawing that character's gun. I'd have been drawing Lara Croft specific handguns. But the Tomb Raider, I'm sure she'd run out of ammo and had to go and pick up other weapons on the go, just like you do in the game. So the leather holster this is in should be rendered differently than the metal gun. Yeah. Um, think about that when you're drawing these things. Think about the little scratches these things can gather over use and time. Um, and don't just think about using the black ink with. You can go back with your white and put in some scratches in on shadows, that kind of stuff. Um, but it should be slicker. Shouldn't look as rough. I'm pretty sure she doesn't really have a big machete, but I gave her one anyway because she's in the jungle. Kind of figured Lara Croft would have one. Again, watch out for your tangents. Have all your shapes go past or go before anything that's in front of them. Don't have it land on. Don't have it land behind. It'll look kind of weird. That's probably more like it there. There we go. Just gonna get a glass of water. Getting there. There was a job I was working on last year where one of the one of the editors, directors, managers, maybe, told me about a way he draws stuff, and it sounded very similar to the way that I need to draw stuff. And the way he talked about it, it was like you have to draw through the shapes. You don't have to draw everything about it, as opposed to maybe just the image you needed at the time, and I guess the angle you need or something like that. But he had read somewhere that that is a kind of a thing. It's not a weakness. It's just the way some people need to see it all before they plot it down. It's almost like I'm kind of sculpting through it, so I can make sure I have lines falling in the right place. Um, and he was the first person I've heard talk about it as well. But there was all kinds of styles. Um, there's a few. I forget the names now. I'd have to go back and ask him. But it was really interesting. Like I just didn't think there was. I don't know if I like that shape. Yeah, I think that's better. Um, there's people who are like Kim Gi who can see everything in their head without roughing out anything, and just get the job done perfectly. And there's people like myself and my old manager, and he would have to see every little bit of it or rough it out so he'd know what he was talking about. When he needed to give criticisms or editor critiques or something back, you might know something is off about something, but unless you go to draw it out and rough out the thing from the angles, break it down into shapes, you can miss what the actual problem is. Or interesting, you always think, because you might be in your room on your own doing stuff all the time, and you think that the way you draw it takes too long, it's a flaw, and you want to get over it. But then you talk to someone else, and you realize, oh no, that's exactly what I do. And if if I do it that way and he does it that way, it's no big deal. It's important to kind of get out and meet other artists and talk about their techniques. And I kind of find that like streams like this, not that I'm doing anything different or anything, but I think when you can kind of see behind the curtain a bit, it makes everything a bit more achievable. Like there is no cheat code, there is no make shiny button. There's a process, and everyone's process changes a little bit, and some parts will work for some people, some won't. That's okay. Yeah. Now we'll go back to drawing the cut off denim. Now I'm going to open a new layer because I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm cheating because I did one single line as opposed to stopping before the holster belt part there and start again on the other side of it. But I regret nothing and I do it all over again. And things like the gun here would cast a shadow. You know, this boot. I'd say anyone watching this is familiar with that Batman picture that Jim Lee did, where of Batman swinging through Gotham, big boot up in the air. Every time I go to draw a boot, I think of the way Jim Lee drew that boot. By the way, anyone tuning in for the first time, I have a podcast as well called The Odds Pod that I do with Dave Hendrick. He's a writer on the book I just talked about a while ago there, The Odds. And we bring people on. They talk about their favorite apocalypse because The Odds was an opportunity for us to talk about our favorite apocalypse. And we're doing a new season very soon. It's taken us a while to get the new season up because we were just audio and then we'll be moving to video. And we just want to get a few things right before we do. But if you stay tuned on the Twitters and the Facebook, not even the Facebook, but the Instagrams and TikToks and stuff, I'll have details about where you can catch us, listen to us, and then check out our new version of the Odds Pod very soon. We were supposed to meet up last night actually, but because I went and slipped the disc and I couldn't sit in the chair for any length period of time, we didn't. So hopefully this week and we can get something moving now in the next coming weeks. I missed the show. So as I talked about familiarizing yourself with various kinds of reference and the right kind of reference, these boots are army jungle boots, I believe, because Lara Croft would probably have something similar. Now, again, rust pencils has me thinking a little too much here. Sorry, just spotted the tangent. Can't have it, have to get rid of it. There we go. It's like a nervous twitch these days. Oops. That should go there. I mean, that should go out there. And 1, 2, 3. No underside on that, okay? How long will we get this? Now we're 25 or 35. All right. Back is starting to get a bit sore, but we'll see if I can finish it before I gotta call it a day. Didn't expect to last this long. I'll come in now and tidy that up. Just I've left a bit of thinking involved here in this boot where things kind of are overlapping, where they're not overlapping. And I just want to get that much down on the page before I go back and fix anything. And leave my line weights open to that now just for a moment. That's not the line weight I want. I'll fix some stuff on the fly. What surprised me about these the jungle boots was how asymmetrical the studs, these kind of parts of the boots are. And I actually changed a few things just to make it look like it was all actual the same shoe. It wasn't a mistake on my part rendering it a certain way. Um, there must be a reason for it. But, excuse me, I always thought they were always symmetrical. So I'm just going to get rid of my rough so I can clear out any lines I think are down on the page there that aren't. Kind of like with light boxing, just turn off the light every so often. For anyone who light boxes anymore. like things like figuring out what the boot is and where these lines fall. They'll they'll have you draw less lines. Less lines tends to be what you're after, a more kind of economic drawing. But because I didn't do the homework, I kind of figuring this out. So there's lines kind of going everywhere. I recommend when you can. Sometimes the jobs don't let you. You just don't have that kind of time, and you have to do whatever it takes. But if you can take the time to figure out the actual form on stuff, you'll get your work done and far more economic lines of what I'm doing. I'll have it tomorrow, Kaylee. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for the request. For anyone who joined it later on, Kaylee asked for Tomb Raider tonight. Um, if anyone else would like me to tackle a character that they like, I'd be very happy to do so. You just got to let me know in the comments, and I'll add to the list. It's another tangent. We're going to get rid of that. There we go. Cheers, Kelly. Okay, I'll do one to her head now. Spin it, no hand. There we go. My God, where's lacking? There we go. There's that lovely ellipse tool in Sketchbook. Get that really nice line variation. And remember the satchel straps in comparison to our rucksack straps have a kind of line down the side. Continuity. Make sure your designs are all working out. That was a word I was reaching for today and failed to find it. Continuity. Word of the day. Yeah, that was terrible line quality. It was really heavy. I just thinned it out. Okay, so I kind of want something like that here. Probably want it there as well. Yeah, I don't know if I go to the edge though. Maybe not so heavy here. Just a hint of bag itself. There we go. That's looking more like it. And if you weren't here to start when I said it, and you recognize what's in her bag, yes, that is the idol from Indiana Jones. Because why not? Oops, don't know what happened there. There we go. Always saving as we go. Don't know how often I've been doing that, but I've been doing it a little bit. Should have been doing it more. Now, well warmed up at this stage. This should be an easy bit. He says just before he makes the biggest mistake of the night. Oh, almost tangenting there. Not good. I don't know why, but I always do the glints in the eyes as kind of a rectangle. Just something someone pointed out to me when I was doing one of these. Don't know why I do it that way. Just do. Don't be afraid to spend a bit of time on the eyes. They're going to be the first thing everyone looks at. Um, it's just a human thing. We'll all look at the eyes first. You might even go back and look at them again afterwards. So get them right. Get them where you want them to be. Yeah, huge thank you to everyone who turned out for the stream tonight. It's the biggest number I've ever had. Really great. Thank you so much. That line was bothering me, and I couldn't tell why, and now I know why. Angle was just wrong. There we go. Oh, too much. There we go. And thanks for staying as long as you have as well. I might have left myself a little bit too much thinking to do this time around as I was stuck at work and I didn't really get the pencil this thoroughly enough for the stream. But I hope you enjoyed figuring it out with me or watching me figure it out at the very least. Um, I totally ripped off that eyes and eyebrow. Oh, there's a bit of a tangent there. We'll make the eyelash come back past that a little bit more. Totally ripped that eyelash or eyebrow and eyes through the hair thing from Ken in Street Fighter. Saw it once, done it since. It's taking shape. Very good. There was a class in college that I didn't really rate too much when I was in college. It was called visual language. And I kind of thought that it certainly had a point. It certainly served a purpose. But I kind of thought that in college, it was probably a little bit too much for what we all needed at that point. We probably needed more instruction in life drawing and perspective, or that kind of stuff was probably more advantageous to us at that point. And I gotta say though, as my career has gone on, the lessons learned in that class have really landed. Um, so I still think maybe there should be more of a focus on on the traditional skills, but the class certainly has helped um, in a number of ways that I just didn't care for at the time. I knew down the road those lessons were going to pay off, but I didn't think they'd pay off as much, you know? Okay. Now I'll turn that off. We're getting there. This is looking all right. Bang, bang. We'll do one more. Maybe this is even a straight. So, new layer, ruler tool, the gunfires he's jumping away from. We're going to pick these lines carefully so that they're not tangenting with anything we've drawn. Okay. So it looks like probably coming from that direction. Something like this. Maybe that's a bit too heavy there at the end. So let's delete that bit. This bit here. And this bit here. And it's kind of tangenting there, but we can fix that on the bag. Like that. There's one. Let's open another one. We'll go down and we'll do gunfire coming from kind of like all directions. Maybe one by your head. One. Two, and then we have the bang bang there. That's grand. That will do that. Let's merge that down. Little bit of a shadow here. Actually, it probably would naturally have some shadow on the tree itself there. I have to draw that one in a little differently. That was a mistake. Press wrong button. It's okay. Draw in the rest of her shadow, which comes in around there. And the way I'm going to do that now is sketchy with this. I'm leaving in the line that I drew because I quite like shadows to do that for no other reason than that. I just like the aesthetic. I know I've said it on a few previous streams. I haven't said it tonight, so I'll say it again because we've had quite a few new people in tonight. But I got a great bit of advice from Sean Chen years ago at a Comic-Con when I was, I don't know, 15 or something. And what he said was try and make your pages 60% black and 40% white, or vice versa, or 70-30. Try and have a fairly dramatic contrast from one or the other. And one thing I kind of found with that is everyone, especially folks in animation who then try to do some comics, but everyone who talks about their pencils always talk about this amazing energy you get in pencils, and then they go to inks and they lose that amazing energy. And it's like, how do you recapture that energy? And I'll say this, when you go from the point of view of trying to create that dramatic contrast in your use of shadow and maybe graphic black on the page, you might lose that energy in pencils, but you do get something else. You get a different kind of energy, and it can be just as good, just as engaging. So I recommend keeping that in mind. That ratio of black and white on your page. Again, I'm just going to render the vines a little differently. I don't want the same angle on those because they're not at the same angle. And I still wanted to describe the volume that they are separately to the log he's jumping over. This is usually a 2-hour stream. We'll go a little over tonight. I was a little late as well. And my back is okay. We'll finish it. How's this looking now? Oops. Supposed to be transfer. There we go. Okay, I'm going to do something else now. That speckle brush I talked about before. Bit of speckle on the log. Again, also use your transparent part of the brush as an eraser, lend some texture to that. There we go. We'll save that. And now we're going to merge that. And then we're going to do the quick sky behind her. We're going to find our, is this the brush I like for that? Let me make sure. There's a certain brush on this that I love for those guys. Yeah, that's it. Salty watercolor. It's amazing. Yeah. Oh, wait. Maybe that's not the one. I think it is the one. That's not it. I'm pretty sure it was that one. Why did it act differently? Make it bigger? Yeah, there we go. It is this one. Okay. I just had it too small. So, sky. I promised I wouldn't use a moon. Let's make this bigger again. You get lovely textures out of it. And go back in some of them and remove some of that black if you can. You kind of get these more shapely cloud effects. What I want to do now is lead the eye kind of to her head. I'm going to frame her a little bit. Don't be afraid to go back in and add some more if you think you need it. Okay. Bit heavy here, maybe. Tip we always used to get in life drawing was to kind of blur your eyesight a bit, and you kind of get an overall feel of the image, your midpoints, that kind of stuff, midtones, I just say. And here we go. We'll leave that there, turn that down, start taking some of that out really quickly, and then we'll call it a night. See, I've left some of my lines open, so I can't just select her and then delete, which is a pity, but it's a preference I make along the way just to get a bit more liveliness in my line quality. I think if everything's closed, things can go a bit flat. Just be really patient with this bit. This bit is kind of when everything starts to come to life. And those choices of where you left in your shadows and your graphic blacks really start to pay off. You get that big contrast between those and your main character here in the pure blacks of the bag and the shadows. They really pop. I'm quite happy with her design actually because I haven't drawn her in so long and I rushed the pencils so quickly for the stream. But her face and her hair, the choice of the gloves, the way her rucksack sits on her, these are all things I will now make a bit of a library of. So the next time I'm asked to draw Lara Croft, this is how I'll draw her. So there'll be a few little things I'll tidy up off camera, but for the sake of getting this done pretty soon, I'll just finish off a few bits now. There's a few little tangents I can see along the way here, and a few bits of the sky I'm cutting out that I shouldn't be cutting out, but just because we're almost there, and that would be an easy fix for me to do. We'll do this really quick. And before I call it a night, if there is a character anyone would like to see me tackle on the stream next Wednesday, please put that character into the comments, and I'll bump them up the list. We did that one. We didn't do this one. Actually, I'll just use the nib for this bit. Okay. I think when I start saying oops more, it's time to wrap up. There we go. There is Lara Croft. And now I sign it. And that is our Wednesday night stream. So let me make that a bit bigger for the screen here. Get rid of those things so we can see it as much as we can. There we go. Lara Croft jumping over the log, and just seeing there, I usually do a little thing to indicate movement. Kind of these little bit of dirt, these specks of stuff. They do make a bit of a difference. Yeah, there we go. There's Lara Croft jumping away from some temple with the icon from Indiana Jones. Thank you everyone to tune in tonight. This is the biggest stream I've ever had. I really appreciate everyone checking in. There's loads of stuff on in the Bennessy shop at the moment, which is at bennessy.com. You can order commissions as well. They look just like this. But I've also added a merchandise part of the store now where you can get t-shirts and hoodies and phone covers, you name it. There's a bunch of stuff there in an array of colors. Please check them out. If there's anything else, maybe I could talk more about this kind of stuff or ask questions on the next stream. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Every question is valid, and if I can help anyone with their technique or talk about what computer programs I use, any of that kind of stuff, very happy to. But we will leave it there. And thank you so much, and I will see you again next week. Thanks. Bye.